Good evening, Randomizer fans. Welcome to this broadcast of the Final Fantasy Randomizer 2020 Fall League, the All Hallows League. We've got a fun 10-team league, 6 different flag sets to share with you all, and tonight we've got a Week 2 free enterprise-style flag set that our runners on stream will be running. Tonight, I'm Cheesinator in the booth, joined by DBS. DBS, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm super jazzed to be here and watch this run tonight.
Yeah, these flags go by real fast.
Okay, that's literally what I was just about to say. These flags go by super fast, and so you might, part of this is going to depend on which runner is just able to react the fastest to what's going on around them. And there is something in these flags that is not typical for Final Fantasy Randomizer, and that is no early items.
Yeah, there's a lot of curveballs compared to the standard flag set with no random encounters, free airship, and what you were saying with all the progression is basically hard locked to how you would run it in vanilla, just without enemies in the way.
Yeah, so that means that in order to, if you want to get the starter item, which we normally consider free when you have the airship, you actually have to defeat the vampire before you can get the starter item. You have to defeat Lich before you can get the Crescent Lake item. You have to have the crown in order to get into Ordeals, and you have to have already defeated Garland to get the item from the king. So our runners, as we see them off right now, we'll see how many of them bounce off from not having those items.
Gouda and Luffy doing the opening move to... Well, actually, Gouda's doing Matoya. Luffy looks like he's going to Cardia, trying to pick up some free treasure chests to see if they can just up their chances of being able to afford everything in the shops. And speaking of in the shops, we got Fire 3 and Warp in the level 1 Black Magic. Those are both very strong. Well, and Cure 3 Exit in the White Locked slots.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm running one of these flag sets, Warp and Exit are by far 2 of the must-have spells. Particularly because you don't have any encounters, it's not really as much of a risk to dive, Ice Cave early or, get the first Earth item early. And Warp and Exit are really going to cut down the time it takes to get one of those checks.
We have an all the way up to Cardia for Gouda as well, while Luffy even going into some of the more esoteric Cardia Island series in the middle one with 3 chests. Meanwhile, Ailmarkin already on Garland and Fryteeth close behind. Fire 3 goes off for enough damage over 2 rounds to kill Garland, which, by the way, is a clamped Garland. All the bosses tonight are clamped 100 to 250% scaling, so you can expect slightly higher HP than usual, even for our poor old Garland.
Well, and we do receive the bottle and the herb from the king and Stera. And key items are incredibly important. And this actually goes into why we have 3 identical parties tonight. For every key item, there is a 20% experience boost. So you are going to be seeing our runners prioritize turning in these key items to get more key items, not just because you have to get into go mode. You want that 20% experience boost to get that black belt up to level 50 as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah, so among the unique things about the strategy to this flag set, one is that with those lack of early items that you were talking about earlier, there are a lot of dungeons that you could potentially have to double dip based on where the key items fall, and I think our runners are going to do their very best to avoid those situations. The key, we got a vanilla key off of the Prince, and that's actually going to help us only do 1 trip for Marsh Cave, which has 3 random spike tiles to check as well. An important part of this flag set is finding a grind to get that black belt up, like you were saying.
Yeah, and as you mentioned about Marsh, typically when we have a key lock item, we have it in Canaria Castle. It's the 6 chests where we in the vanilla game get the TNT, but for this particular flag set, we have Marsh locked. So without that key, you would have to, as you said, redive Marsh to get both key items.
The Chime and Cube simultaneously coming off of the Fairy and Bicky on Ailmarkin and Fryteeth's screen. So the 2 things needed to go all the way up Sky are found. They don't either of them lead to more key items, but they are experienced and they are required. You need 7 specific required items to win this game, and to get all 4 orbs as usual. You need a loot key, chime cube, oxtail rod, and a canoe.
Yeah, and over here on Fryteeth's side, he's the first one to check through all the shops in Provoca. I did notice Silver +5 and Pro Ring +5 in the armor shop, and it looks like we do have an early life that is Red Mage learnable, and we have Lit 3 as well as Cake, a favorite of many of our runners, our restreamer in particular, Dangwu, so a quick shout out to Dangwu. And we have the team Cake and Brack, which is being highlighted today by Ailmarkin shouting out that particular spell.
As far as our team comps here, everyone on screen is running the Black Belt Red and the Black Mage, but the Fighter is the one difference here for Gouda instead of a White Mage in that slot. There are various reasons people might pick different classes for the quote-unquote 4th sort of flex spot in these flags, but Black Belt Red Black has been the trifecta for this meta pretty much across the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and is that a wipe on the Pirates there for Gouda?
Yeah, I was curious because we did have that Lit 3 at level 2 Black, and I guess he didn't pick it up for his Red Mage and Black Mage.
I don't know if Gouda's saved this. Maybe he saved after he's bought his magic. Okay, so Gouda has had at least one save in this run, but it was before Garland. So if you do Garland into Pirates, you actually go in there with fairly low health, and it can be somewhat risky.
Okay, so I want to take a second to talk about this magic that we're seeing here in Elfland, the Fryteeth's side. I've seen Life 2, Ruse, Fade, Brack, and I want to say there was another one. And Fast was at, I believe, level 3. This is some amazing magic for these flags. You need to have early fast, or you really want to have early fast. Life 2 is always a great spell to have. Fade is going to get that White Mage to actually do some damage. I mean, this is a really, really strong magic seed so far.
Yep, agreed. And there's enough of that's falling on the Red Mage for the White Mage to have not been quite essential to the party. Fade being the best sweeper early is good, but we already had Lit 3. So really, you're looking for one sweeper that gets you through your grind tiles, and then a sweeper for Topher. Usually by like level 5 or 6, you'll have found Nuke in most seeds. Speaking of what we're finding, Adamant is in the Marsh Cave, the standard incentive chest that normally has the crown blocked by the wizards, and in the locked chest, which is only special in the randomizer, we're about to see what the second Marsh incentive is.
And we see Ailmarkin it's a ribbon +5. So our Marsh incentive item is that incentive ribbon, and it happened to roll a +5. And I totally forgot what I was going to say about Ailmarkin. So yeah, let's see what our runners are doing.
Sure. So yeah, that's a pretty good spot to come early. We'll see what this Adamant turns into, but either way, it's probably a chain of key items that increases our experience, and it turns into the Oxtail. Okay, so now Sea Shrine. Sea Shrine is not actually accessible yet. We need the canoe to get there, which is unusual for most FFR flag sets. But Sea Shrine and Sky, we've got their access items. But really, we're kind of at a loss as far as like what progression to pick up next. It's going to require diving, ice, volcano, or earth cave.
Yeah. I do want to go back to just the different approaches we had at the very beginning. What you'll see amongst these runners, and particularly in free enterprise, is that money is incredibly valuable. You can burn through thousands of GP going from Canaria to Provoca to Elfland, and so whereas Ailmarkin and Fryteeth might have to be pinching pennies as they go through these towns, the reason that Fee and Gouda would head up to Cardia early is so that they can buy any and all magic that they want and not have to worry about spending the time that you see Ailmarkin doing opening up chests.
Yeah, absolutely. So you need enough money to get off the ground, get your magic, your shop item, and some supplies from the item shop. And then once you hit that threshold, usually the money that you find off your grind tiles, like for example these Gurmadusas, is enough to sustain you for the rest of the run. And you can at that point usually stop opening chests as well, since there are no incentive items in the chest, there are no loose items.
Yeah. So I feel like we've been spending a long time going to the uniqueness of this particular flag set. I do want to take a minute for those of you who are new to Final Fantasy Randomizer and say a big welcome from us in the Final Fantasy community. And I wanted to draw your attention to the numbers that you've seen at the end of some of these armor and item sets, which are definitely not part of the vanilla game. We call those blurst items. So what that means is if you see a plus sign after an armor or a weapon, that means it is getting a buff of that many extra points. If you see a minus sign, that nerfs the weapon. So, in a case where, gold bracelets used to be amazing, if you get a gold bracelet -5, it's not the best piece in the world. And that ribbon +5 is actually increasing armor, it's increasing evasion, as well as getting all of those extra buffs that it normally gets.
We got 2 of our runners now in Marsh Cave, and Gouda actually deciding to take just some get me going levels off of these red bones, burning all of his remaining fire 3 charges pretty much, and then warping out of the Marsh Cave. So he's up to level 10. That'll help him again afford what's in the shops and maybe not wipe to some of these initial spike tiles he tries. Fryteeth, meanwhile, has been pushing very low level dives and checks into Earth Cave and now Ice Cave to look at the spike tiles. He got bounced repeatedly by the Gurmaduses in Earth, who had some kind of stunning effect. It was either a touch effect or a spell.
Yeah. Well, and to go into what our runners are currently doing right now, and I see Dangwu posted in chat all of the specific details of those blurst weapons that I talked about. But you see our runners, first of all, prioritizing those key items. And now what they're doing is they're trying to find a spike tile, one of the forced encounter tiles, in order to get their levels up as quickly as possible. So you see Aelmarkin at that Gurmadusa tile, which is with squint. Okay, I didn't see that when Fryteeth was against them.
Yeah, they have the squint and they have the experience.
Yeah, tons and tons of experience. Then there goes the white.
This actually could be a blessing in disguise. Aelmarkin's got the 2 most important characters alive, and he's probably not going to revive the other 2.
True. I mean, he did what I was thinking, which was he's going to warp out. And wow, he's diving again. And the reason is because the more characters you have, they split up the gold amongst the current living characters. So you take the total experience and divide by 4 if you have all 4 Light Warriors up. And in Aelmarkin's case, you're only going to divide by 2. So he's going to get tens of thousands experience in, 12,600 experience for just that one fight.
Yeah, so this is going to be pretty much a dream grind. What Aelmarkin is doing now, his ribbon is on the Red Mage. So he's got the Red Mage up front to hopefully tank up those squints and the stoning spell. I'm not sure if that was Glance, maybe. So the Red Mage will resist the single target disabilities, and then the Black Belt will gradually increase its magic defense every time it levels and start to resist those things as well. So that stun touch, I think chat was a little bit worried about, isn't that bad once you've gotten enough levels in magic defense to resist it, and you're right outside. You can go back outside Earth Cave at any point there if you're just using that grind tile. So I like the Gurmadusa grind. Maybe the disables are a little too high frequency right now, and you can come back to it later.
Yeah, well, personally, in Aelmarkin just pulled up a Saria tile, which the Saria tile, as long as they don't hit incredibly hard and they don't have 500 or 600 HP, the Saria tile is by far one of my favorite, and it does look like the Saria's rolled fairly low. And you can see he popped 10,000 experience on 3 of them, and so he's going to be getting a ton of experience from this particular grind tile. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Aelmarkin taking a number of levels here on this Saria tile, and then when he feels confident enough that he can take the Gurmaduses, you might see him jump over to those Gurmaduses, or down the Red Mage and just solo with the Black Mage against those Sarias.
We got a lot of action in Earth Cave right now, by the way. So there are 2 more great tiles just on the first floor. There's the Fighter Mage tile and the Gas Dragons, but also Fryteeth has gone all the way down to the Incentive Chest, which is a totally fine play given the level 1 warp and exit. So we're about to find out what the Vampire's been guarding. Killing the Vampire opens up Sarda, and then we got the required loot in the Ruby Chest.
Now, actually, when I'm running one of these seeds, I actually would have done the opposite of what we see our runners doing. So we see our runners aiming for that upper earth grind tile, but for every fight that they have, by not going to get the earth incentive item, losing 20% of experience. So I like to go down. I like to say, all right, I know I can beat Vamp. I know I can grab that incentive item. You saw Fryteeth then run over to Sarda to pick up Sarda's item, and now he has 40% more experience than he would have had before, and that's just going to make his grind go even faster.
Yeah, and this chain has led Fryteeth to the crystal, which brings him up to Matoya, so we'll see what the friendly old lady has for us. Normally she's the one in vanilla gives you the herb that you give to the prince, and it's the canoe, so that's a required item. 2 items required out of Earth Cave so far. Canoe also opens up the ability to check the waterfall and the Temple of Ordeals, though we don't have a crown yet. We need a lot to get to Ordeals in these flags.
Yeah. And right now we are seeing Ailes continuing that Saria grind. It looks like Luffy has found a fighter mage tile, which is a really nice tile early on in the game. This is a nice tile to get up to, that level 20 or so. Not the greatest for doing your final grind, but it's definitely one of those you would like an early grind with.
I would disagree. Fighters are one of the single highest experience enemies in the game, and then if you get 2 to 3 mages to back them up, it can actually be good enough. Depends on how high they roll, of course, all the other things, how quickly you can go through the tile.
Yeah. Well, and I like that you brought that up because, I'm looking at Gouda fighting the Gurmaduces, and you see it's a pack of 7. So if you're trying to do an endgame grind, you have to have your red mage up, and that's going to be splitting up some of that experience. And it really comes down to which one of these tiles runners choose. And yeah, we'll see what these guys do as they continue through this seed.
I think a lot of people like to go for 2-person grinds for the efficiency, like the clear speed, unless you find a uniquely good tile like a 2 to 3 eyes or sandworms, something that's like made for a single person to punch through. Just because having another character who's got a very high amount of levels, magic charges, and so forth can be helpful when you go into Topher and they're throwing out nuke and whatever. You want someone else to survive besides just your black belt.
Absolutely. As OP as black belts get, they can still receive a solid punch from Kraken, and they can still go down pretty hard. They punch hard, but they also take damage, especially from nuclear, nuke, all of these other things. And I believe Fryteeth just found the vendor item, which was the rod. So if I'm not mistaken, if he's able to get that rod, that would put him in go mode. So this is definitely a sub 40 seed. I could see some runners hitting the mid 30s by the time they complete this.
Sub 40 is very tough. We've seen a couple in the tournament so far. I think we've seen Thunder and Wappy. The really best of the best runners have pulled in sub 40s, but a lot has to go right around the grind, right? Your grind has to be efficient, and the key items have to line up so you don't double dip places, and so forth. And Topher has to give you no trouble. Now we do have fast, so Topher will probably be pretty straightforward. And the grinds have been okay. The grinds haven't been amazing, best of the best, but they've been pretty good. So I'm expecting that the top runners maybe for this seed to come in somewhere in the 40 to 45 neighborhood, I think.
Yeah, well, we do see, it looks like Fryteeth is heading up to Cardia Isles, checking boxes. I don't know if he's looking for something specific, or if he's just trying to get money.
Yeah, it might be money. He hasn't actually taken as many fights as the other people on screen.
Well, and he did find that rod, so I could see him trying to use the money to get that rod. And we see Aelmarkin is going a solo black belt grind. He's already at level 34. Luffy has defeated the vampire. He's gotten his loot and will probably head over to Sarda. And Gouda looks like restocking and heading out in the overworld. And J-Man in chat saying Fryteeth had 9 gold when he found that rod. So I can imagine he needed a little more gold to buy that.
Yeah. So hopefully what he's got, found about 18,000 from selling things. Is that enough? Oh, just barely. All right, cool. So he's got his rod. He's got all the key items he needs. Now it's grind and go.
Right.
So hopefully he'll head into Earth, maybe give another crack at the Gurmaduces. Those seem to have worked out decently well for some of the other runners. Either that or TOF locked. I don't think we'll need to do much exploration beyond that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And it looks like he is doing the Earth dive, and he's heading up to the chest trap tile. And I don't remember what this particular one was. Oh, that's the fighter mage tile that Luffy's on right now. And it looks like Gouda found arachnid spiders, which, in typical Danny Seed fashion, we have arachnids with horrible things that we want to run away from as quickly as possible. So, yeah, some things are nice, but you always run from those arachnids. I'm telling you, nuke them. I don't care what you do, just get away from arachnids every time you play Final Fantasy Randomizer.
Mm-hmm. So Aelmarkin went down to the single-person grind on the Sarias to finish off his black belt leveling. So he's in really good shape. Gouda's still kind of bouncing around looking for his preferred spot, while looks like Luffy and Fryteeth are settling in here in the Earth Cave.
I feel like I want to highlight that Aelmarkin has completed his grind. We're around the 19-minute mark, and I think what distinguishes him between some of the others. Well, first of all, he didn't get stuck on the Gurmadusa tile. He saw that they were awful and went away from it. And when he found a tile that he felt comfortable with, he stuck with it, and he was very smart about his grind to make sure he wasn't gonna end up going down and losing the grind. And I think Luffy did the same thing. He's kept up most of his light warriors throughout his grind. And I think the thing that is really been hurting Fryteeth is him bouncing around to all sorts of different grinds instead of just settling on one and getting the the levels he needs.
Fryteeth did prioritize key items, so it looks like he went for more of the get all the experience first, then grind one thing. But we've seen, I think, most of the pro runners who've played this flag set a ton, or have a lot of history with the game, they kind of break it up into two parts, right? Like you need to get going, and then once you've got all the inertia you need to be kind of ready to finish out the seed in one go, then you do your final grind, which could be 20 levels, but it's your final grind.
Right. I really like that distinction of, you saw Luffy and Fryteeth doing the exact same grind, but you're right that Fryteeth is going to go through this grind faster simply by picking up those key items. And as Greg Lee Puff is pointing out in chat, I want to do a quick shout out to the base that Aelmarkin picked up. One of my favorite new flags that our amazing developers have come up with. And we say it that our developers are amazing, but it's literally true. They've put so many new features in this game, even in the last 3 months. I love our developers. Thank you, developers. We love this game, and we love everything that you guys do.
Yeah, the Rando has seen tons of feature updates over the summer and the early fall. Really exciting. What's also exciting, we got Luffy, the first runner into the volcano here, heading towards the Orb of Fire. Gonna stop by, maybe check 1 or 2 chests. Gets rewarded with the black shirt. Not the worst. Might end up being able to use that to help finish out a grind. Currently level 24 across the board. This would be the first, I'm looking at our screen, this would be the first orb anyone lights once Luffy gets this volcano incentive and then finishes off carry. Speaking of the incentive, so while we've seen all the go mode key items, there are still a few pieces of gear out there. There's a lot of gear in the pool that helps you to finish off the clamped settings, right? These clamp bosses call for certain items. Thankfully, we've got defense, power gauntlet, and a Vorpal as well if you decide not to go black belts. Fryteeth, though, pulling Lich, though, so this will actually probably be our first orb kill.
Well, we have Luffy in Volcano, and Gouda's over in Sea. And I believe Gouda found the Thor Hammer in one of the free Sea chests, which is going to be great for a potential multi-enemy black belt grind. And yeah, it looks like Fryteeth is doing the standard harm 4 approach, couple punches with the black belt, and as per usual, we have Lich going down pretty quick. Gouda doing Brax against Kraken. Kraken is just going to wreck his fighter, and even more Brax coming out, but nothing actually happening. We have the Thor hammer coming from the black belt. That's an interesting call. We have Invis, it looked like.
Yeah.
And at the yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say he's really at risk of wiping here. Like Invis 2 is one stack, but that Kraken was hitting for a jillion hits. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this has to. If this is an all physical Kraken, I don't think this red mage lives, even if the Invis 2 goes off first.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I feel like he needed to either go full into Brax strats with the black belt, or needed to do Invis strats, not switch halfway.
Yeah, either or. So he's bounced out. He's going to go to Waterfall, maybe find a defense sword, which I don't think we've laid eyes on yet. While Luffy has been on this carry fight for kind of a while. Clamped carry one, by the way, no joke. A lot of people are prone to underestimating this fight, but Luffy gets through it, lights an orb. So Fryteeth has the Earth Orb, Luffy has the Fire Orb, and Aelmarkin should have the Fire Orb shortly with his massively powerful Black Belt.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if this Black Belt was one punch. And 731 damage, so it looks like Carry 1 has quite a bit of defense today.
Aelmarkin's very low-level mages, or actually maybe they just took a bunch of fire tile damage on the way down, just falling over flat. But that was 20 hits for about a jillion, so Aelmarkin, he's going to be coasting through these dungeons. The dungeons all take like 2 to 3 minutes. It's mostly just walking time. Sky takes the longest because you have to get through a required clamp Warmech. But yeah, as everything's coming together and we're kind of seeing the pace being put on, I agree with you that Aelmarkin has the potential for the sub 40 probably handily at this point.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say again. But I think someone brought up, I think you had mentioned earlier that we do have a required Warmech in this particular flag set. So as much as you might want to get into Sky to try to find another grind tile if you're looking for chests, you've got to defeat that Warmech, and with a clamped Warmech, that Warmech is going to hit hard. And even at high level, you are going to lose a number of light warriors in that fight.
Yeah, Warmech vanilla HP, I want to say is 1500, and then the evade can roll very high on these flag sets. Like, Clamp Warmech is no joke, so it's like having a Topher Fiend in front of Tiamat 1, so it's actually the harder of the two bosses first.
Right, absolutely. And it looks like Gouda has found the Whizvamp Zombie D tile in Sharknado floor. Luffy's back to his grind. Aelmarkin is probably heading directly to C. And we have Fryteeth in one of our shops.
Gouda, this tile he's found, unfortunately, one of those things has stun touch. I think it was the Wiz Vampire. So hopefully he gets through this fight alive and can pile a ton of experience onto the Black Belt to make the subsequent fights safer, because the fighter's already down. Though I guess there's a life spell on that red mage, which I'm not used to having. I kind of assume if I don't have a white mage that I'm going lifeless in these flags.
Yeah, and like as you said, the red mage magic did roll very well this particular seed.
Fryteeth got the crown off the sages, and the sages of course required that lich kill, so the crown actually opens up 2 more incentives. We still haven't seen defense or power gauntlet, unless anyone wants to correct me on that, so those could have been both hiding behind the crown. Power Gauntlet, not as important when you're just looking to like fast up a big black belt and punch, but defense, very important, especially if you get down to one character trying to finish Temple of Fiends Revisited. But Aelmarkin, he's just coasting. He's going to go burst down this Kraken 1, and he's going to be the first to get 2 orbs almost for sure, while Fryteeth's still trying to grind something. He's found some high HP zombie dragons in the volcano, which,
Yeah, I feel like that's my response to it. It's one of those, let's see tiles. If they roll high, it might not be worth all of the magic casts. If they roll low, then it's a great one to get working on. And if they have low evade, probably go down quick.
All right, Aelmarkin's black belt just got 7 hits onto Kraken there. We're going a mixed strat with break, and we're actually finally fasting the black belt now. That won't go off this turn, so we've
See you coming out fast, which is going to literally double the number of hits coming out of that black belt. So you can see our black belt do upwards of 20 hits by the time he actually gets a shot at. 5 hits for 805. Warmech misses.
Yeah, you'll love to see that.
Want to see. Oh yeah, absolutely. And we were actually talking about this in the race room before the run. Lock 2 coming out from that red mage. Lock is a very, very important spell in this flag set.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And look at that. So you get a huge pile of experience from Warmech, and it's even better if it doesn't go on all 4 of your characters, so you can get more on the black belt. The black belt's up to 47. It's basically a god. There have been a lot of finishes with level 50 black belts so far in this week of the randomizer.
Yeah, and I think I remember when Aelmarkin defeated the vampire. I think he got level 8 on the white and black mage. So he actually might get them up to the high teens. Let's see, 24 and 18. So he's got them up at the high teens by not caring about them whatsoever and just doing required fights. He's already gotten those 2 characters up to double digits.
Alright, Fryteeth finally back in the Earth Cave. He's like, no, all these other tiles suck. This is where I was supposed to be in the first place. Getting the 1 fighter and the 2 to 3 mages, which Luffy had spent quite a lot of time on. Gouda trying to settle in here on these Grimmeduses, but getting stun-touched repeatedly. Just no luck today. His black belt wakes up and then immediately gets stunned again. I don't think he's having a lot of fun, unfortunately.
Yeah,
The randomizer is fun most of the time, I promise.
Yeah, this like we've all been in this spot. Like literally, this is where I was on Sunday. I got bounced out of waterfall trying to do metal slimes for a good 10 minutes, and it's a painful feeling. So I'm hoping he's up to level 27. Hoping Gouda's going to find that rhythm and really start chalking up that experience.
Meanwhile, Aelmarkin just coasting along. He is almost to the bottom of Earth Cave. 3 orbs lit. He's coming up on Lich. Lich honestly doesn't stand a chance. The black belt will probably kill it in 1 hit. If it doesn't, I would be genuinely shocked. So no need for cake when your black belt's fists are cake.
I like cake. Like, cake is wonderful. I mean, maybe, black belt, but maybe I want some cake. I'm kind of disappointed now that I don't have cake. Just saying. I appreciate the like too, Kat.
My god. That was 2,500 damage.
Yeah, no, never mind. Just punch him. He will vaporize.
I think Lich is undead. Lich's spirit has now been fully released from this mortal coil. Like that is an exorcised Lich. It's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with that though, Aelmarkin has lit his 4th orb and
crashing
bouncing off over a couple times. At right around the 33-minute mark, Aelmarkin's our first on-stream runner to go into Topher.
Gouda about to light his first orb, getting that out of the way because he's had a lot of trouble here, but Lich, thankfully, is a pretty easy one to knock out, so he's making some progress. Luffy, satisfied with his grind from a while ago, he's up sky here, about to pull Warmech. He's looking for his 2nd orb. Fryteeth, again, still grinding, but has 2 orbs under his belt currently. So I think Fryteeth may be a little behind Luffy, despite the similar orb count, just because of the later grind, while Aelmarkin is very clearly and obviously out in front of the pack.
Yeah. Well, and we'll see how Luffy does with this Warmech. We didn't see too much trouble from Warmech when Aelmarkin fought him, particularly because he missed. Warmech just was not hitting. And with all of these Invis 2 casts, I don't think Luffy's going to have that much trouble against this Warmech.
Yep, and I don't think Ale will have much trouble against this Lich, though 702 wasn't enough first time around. Lich has 500 HP in vanilla, and it's 100 to 250, so we could be looking at like a 1250 Lich. but this should... Oh my goodness, that's definitely it. Yeah, I feel like all these scenes are pretty much just going to be a fast punch, and if it goes more than 2 rounds, I would be surprised.
Oh, yeah.
Max evade is the one thing that can slow you down.
Yeah. I wouldn't, well, and that's where the lock comes from. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see fast lock punch and then fade or something else like that coming out from Aelmarkin.
This has been a somewhat slow Warmech fight for Luffy. He's still on it after the time that it took Aelmarkin to do 2 Temple of Fiends Revisited fights. And by the way, he's done 2 of them. Carry kind of was a second one, so we're on to the Kraken floor.
Well, and right now, whenever I run these seeds, I'm thanking high heaven that there are no encounters on the seafloor, because seafloor will wreck you when you're doing a normal Topher.
Yep. Gouda has made his way out to Ordeals. He's either looking for better luck or better grind, or maybe like one of the incentive pieces of gear that will help him finish out the seed. But first person I think we've seen in Ordeals all night. Luffy has pulled Tia 1 while Aelmarkin pulls Kraken 2 simultaneously, and Frightheath coming up on Kraken 1. This Kraken 2 is going pretty well so far. Yeah, when your black belt is still over 900 HP and dealing 4 digits per hit, you don't, well, not per hit, but per round, you don't have too much to worry about. So you're going to toss out some Cure 4s, heal up to max before Tia 2.
Yeah. And Tia 2 is not the one that you're most afraid of in Topher. If you disrespect Tia 2, she can come out with Death Touch or Stone Touch or Nuclear. But typically, if you can get through Kraken 2, and there's Crack. I had to say it, didn't I? And 2 Light Warriors down. But with the first punch from the Black Belt putting out over 1,000 damage, there's probably not going to be much longer for Tia in this world. Or 2,000 years ago. And there she goes. And Aelmarkin is now on his way to the Chaos Floor as Gouda works on a solo grind of Chimeras, Frightheath against Kraken, and it looks like Luffy is heading in for his Water Orb as well.
So Aelmarkin going to pull Chaos here. He's got a fully revived, fully Cure Forward party with a level 49 Black Belt. Seems like a mere formality at this point. There's so many things that would have to go wrong, like round 1, high roll nuke killing 2 mages, immediately kill the other mage, and then like slow 2 landing against a max evade Chaos. That was the only way that you could lose this, I think.
You've heard of Commentator Curse before, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm not
crossing my fingers.
I'm just letting people know that this randomizer includes a lot of variance, but there are some things that are very low variance, and the outcome of this fight is pretty much in the bag.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying. Rooting for my man. And we have Frightheath going into Sky. It looks like we have Luffy's on Kraken. Gouda's in his grind. We've got Lock 2 coming out from Aelmarkin. More Lock 2. That's just going to pick up the number of hits from that Black Belt. And 9 hits, 588. We got Invis 2 coming out again. Tons of HP still on all of his Light Warriors. And now Aelmarkin's into punch, wait. It's really all he can do right now. It's probably the fastest move. We have weights. We have a punch. Bane coming out, which takes out the White Mage. Another punch, 10 hits, 799. Chaos is still up, so it looks like we have a high roll on Chaos today. And 12 hits, 1143. GG's to Aelmarkin, our first on-stream runner at a sub-40, a 38-11 for this particular seed. And Aelmarkin does, in fact, finish in first place for tonight with an official SRL time of 38 minutes and 11 seconds. Again, GG's to Aelmarkin.
GG, fantastic run, really straightforward display of all the skills necessary to run this kind of flag set. Absolutely what we would expect from him. Meanwhile, we got 2 runners on screen tied for 3 orbs, but the orb upcoming for Luffy is a faster collection than for Frightheath, so depending on how long this Warmech fight takes, they could be into Topher at similar times. Luffy has a lot of walking to do, but yeah, they're very close right now overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right that it's going to be dependent on the this Warmech fight and how much trouble Warmech gives him. It looks like Gouda's finally on his way down to the fire floor to take down Carrie for his second orb.
All right, Warmech not doing enough physically to be that big of a threat here. Fades and nukes are coming out, chipping away at that HP, and the black belt's still healthy. So I think Fryteeth has this fight locked in just a couple more actions. Luffy almost about to pull Lich, and Gouda is on Carry too, so he's going to lock in his second orb here in a moment.
And so we have Lich in the bottom left. Gouda just takes out Carry in the bottom right, and we have Tia coming up in the top right. I was about to say what was going to happen to Tia, but Tia disappeared before I could say anything.
Oh, you mean Lich? Yeah. It's his birthday. We gave him the cake. But are we going to give Tia the Brack? And it looks like we're going to... Nope, we're going to give him the punch. Luffy also a fan of crashing into Topher. Like, nobody's paying this building any respect. I guess they know that it is somewhat haunted. So Fryteeth going to be just a tick behind Luffy in getting into Temple of Fiends Revisited here, but really quite close. Battle RNG could be the decider, but Fryteeth stopping off to get something. He maybe wants to revive, or...
I think he's going for those pro ring plus 5s.
Yeah.
I mean, we did see that, some of those insta-death spells, and you don't want your mages to go down immediately. I think it depends on your levels. It's a tough call.
Yeah, like I'm never putting one of those on the black belt who's gonna obviously be unequipped, but then you've got a red mage with a ribbon already and life. So I don't know, for ring, it's certainly a solid pickup. Prevents some of the worst kind of disaster scenarios, and it will help him guarantee more likely to have one successful dive rather than a wipe. And Luffy, by the way, that's a couple floors lead now with the diversion to the shop. So Luffy is a little bit ahead here, pulling Lich 2, starting with some Fire 3s and some punches, and Lich 2 is down. So 3 refights to go until Chaos.
And it looks like we do have our first place finisher, Ailmarkin, with us here in the booth. GG's, Ailmarkin.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Yeah, I don't think you should feel at all sorry about how that run went.
Yeah, it took me a hot minute to get some traction at the start. Like, I figured, I saw the Saria tile early, was like, oh, this will be nice, and then I was like, you know what, with my luck, the very next tile is going to be like 3 eyes, so let me just keep checking. I saw the Gurmaduces, and then I saw what they had, and I was like, let's go back to the Lizards.
Yeah, the Gurmaduces helped you out, though. They killed the 2 right characters.
Yeah, it was very nice of them to do that. It definitely did kind of help the grind go a lot quicker, since the Sarias, they hit okay, but it wasn't going to be near as quick as just, the squints and the glances and all that good stuff.
There was a decent amount of beating heads against the RNG of all the various disables on the Gurmaduces, and it certainly gets a lot better for the people that went to get the ribbon and marsh locked before doing that fight. But yeah, there was a lot of like, oh, these grinds are almost good enough, but there's something wrong, like my AoE is not good enough, or they're taking out my mages, whatever. So good on you for just finding one and committing to it and not moving, because you saved so much travel time compared to our other on-screen runners.
Yeah, it was nice, and then getting that key early, like you said, I did manage to get that ribbon, so that kind of kept the red mage alive, and really from the start all the way through the end, like, even with seeing like the Bane and the Crack and whatnot in Topher.
Yeah, speaking of red mages living, Luffy's is not. It just got one punched out by Kraken, but I think he's going to be fine. I see 999 HP on that black belt, so probably going to be punching out Kraken in a matter of a round or 2.
Yeah, and we do have Fryteeth right behind him on C4, and he'll be pulling up Kraken 2 shortly as well. And there goes Luffy's Kraken 2, just as Fryteeth starts his Kraken 2. And Gouda, I believe, just lit his 3rd orb and is on his way to C to find one more unfortunate fight against Kraken 1.
Yeah, Gouda's going to need some revenge here. I believe he's already wiped twice to Kraken 1. Just really unlucky rolls with the breaks never landing.
Yeah. So, Ailmarkin, I question for you. How were you feeling once you hit that moment of It's only about 19 minutes into the round, and I already have all of the key items I need.
It's kind of a mixed bag because the last couple times I've run these flags, like the group practices and everything, I've been clocking in like upper 40s, low 50s. So I was kind of really expecting it to be some like long, silly fetch chain, like slab to TNT to Ruby to Crown, and then the Rod's going to be sitting in Ordeals. And I was really, really surprised when Rod was sitting there at the vendor, and I just said, "Okay, no more items. I'm good. Let's go."
Yeah. So was it like relieving, or was it like, oh my gosh, I have to go so fast because everyone else is probably going so fast?
It's kind of 50-50. It's a relief because I know I can stop checking for things, but on the other hand, it's like if other people are following the same steps, we're all in lockstep with each other, and I need to get going.
Yeah. And we do have Luffy on Chaos, who's our second on-screen runner against Chaos. I've seen some Invis 2s. We've seen Lock 2 coming out. Looks like a decision to go with Wall, Fade, and some punches. Meanwhile, Fry Teeth is on Tia 2. Gouda is on his rematch against Kraken.
Yep, Gouda's got that 4th Warblet, so he's going to be headed into Topher soon. Luffy's Black Belt first round against Chaos here only did 2 hits for like 200 and change damage, but I think enough of the buffs have come down. Now we're starting to get some real damage. 8 hits for over 700. That could, of course, be higher, but it looks like we're just going to go with the wait strats, which is going to save a lot of time on actions and just focus on the huge 1500 around type damage, while Fry Teeth pulling Chaos in momentarily.
Yeah, and the Bane coming out, all the Light Warriors staying up, 7 hits for about 500. And so you're seeing a lot of these effects of that Lock 2 that we were talking about earlier. And this is exactly why you want to have at least one spellcaster when you go in. And there's 8 hits for 436. GG's to Lucy DiVitale and his 46-26. And our second on-stream runner to finish. GG's once again.
Yep, second on stream, that is 4th overall with an official SRL time of 46-26.
And we do want to give a special shout out to our other 2 runners, Jack2980, who finished in 2nd with a 44-54, Groggy Dog, who finished in 3rd with 45-53.
Fry Teeth throwing up the Invis stacks for Chaos just to make sure no funny punches come out. The nuke, that's pretty solid 200 damage, but he's just going to go with the weight on everyone else. Black Belt takes a hit for 250-ish, but could take 2 more of those and still not die. So I think we're going to be fine. We're going to do 1 more Invis and throw out some Lock because we're not connecting for quite enough on the Black Belt yet.
Yeah, and
4, so yeah, still not quite enough. Lock 2, going to lower that evasion by 20, so it's kind of a reverse half of an Invis charge, but for the enemy, and that'll help increase our damage similarly to how much a temper would, depending on how many hits we're already landing.
Yeah. And as you said, it's almost a formality at this point against this Chaos because those Invises are going to block pretty much everything. We have Lock. We're going to do a lot of hits against that Black Belt. So I wouldn't be surprised. There it is. 855. Fry Teeth is our 3rd on-stream runner with an official SRL time of 47.53. And Fry Teeth is, in fact, our 5th place winner for tonight. GG's to Fry Teeth.
Woohoo! That's my teammate. All right, and welcome to the booth. Pretty close to finish times for both of you. But GG's, Luffy, and Fry Teeth.
Hey, GG, guys.
All right, so tell us a little bit about how you felt about that item layout, the grind tiles, and just the things that did or didn't roll your way.
You want to go ahead, Fry Teeth?
You can go ahead.
All right, man. So, I mean, I felt pretty good about this one. I found the mages and the fighters in Earth Cave pretty quick, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to take this to the mid-20s and figure out what I'm doing from there. And then kind of got lucky with my routing and having Carry punch down 2 of my characters after lighting my first orb. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to go get up 42 on this black belt and just go. So that worked out pretty good. And then fortunately, every stop I made along the way just kind of had what I needed. And I think to Aile's point, once you found that that rod at the the caravan. That was all I needed. I didn't have to go to anywhere else. I just kind of tried to go fast.
Yeah, I think Caravan Rod was go mode for Ale, Fryteeth, and yourself.
hmm
Yeah, so Fryteeth, talk about grind tiles, man. That it seemed like that was the one thing that was tripping you up the most.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I found that fighter mage tile, not too late. It was just I couldn't get them to kill off any of my characters, and so that's what slowed me down the most. That, and when I found the rod, which was the thing I needed, I think I had, and so I had to go searching for money to buy that. But yeah, the big thing was just I couldn't get the fighter or mages to kill off anything.
Yeah, this is one of those seeds where it's like, well, if we could have had a smaller party earlier, we'd have been higher level faster, but at the same time, the first non-elemental AoE available was that Fade for the white mage, who also had a white locked exit, so like, the white mage wasn't necessarily a bad or good addition to the party, it was just kind of, it presented you with different problems.
Yeah, and we do have Gouda has finally pulled his chaos at the end of Topher. Much like the rest of our runners, we're pulling Invis 2s. We're seeing punches coming out of the black belt. We've got a Lit 2 from Chaos, doing just really chip damage. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Gouda terminating Chaos within the next minute or so, especially with 8 hits and over 1,200 damage coming from that black belt. Looks like more in this too. There's the Bane coming out of Chaos, which is just taking out one Light Warrior. With this Invis 2, punches aren't going to be an issue. And, only 3 hits this time. But, again, there's the Black Belt, 416. I say probably 1, maybe 2 more good punches. There's Nuke. I'm not sure any other runner saw Nuke coming out from Chaos. Another 416. And there it goes. Gouda, 632. Terminating Chaos, our 4th on-stream runner, with a 51-28. GG's to Gouda after a very tough run.
Yeah, Gouda has finished 8th overall in SRL with an official time of 51 minutes 28 seconds. GG to Gouda, very hard fought. Has declined an interview, so we'll just carry on the conversation here. With all on-stream runners having concluded, we'll get a few more thoughts from how everyone felt about their runs.
Before we get to those thoughts, we do also want to give a GG to Wildham, one of those developers we were talking about earlier, who's done some amazing things in this randomizer over the last few months. Wildham finishes 6th place with a 49.35. Demon Frog finishing in 7th place with a 49.43, only an 8-second difference between the two of them. And Gouda 632 finishing with a 51.28 in 8th place.
And then Rojo was 9th place with 54.57. We have one runner still going. So there were grind tiles. There was trouble danning people. Ailmarkin, who we commented before the two of you joined us in chat, had the easiest time danning because the Gurmaduses just did it for him. Which I guess if you like stick the two other characters in the front and put a red mage with a ribbon in the back row,
Wiped me out.
Yeah, like if they surprise you, especially, right? And there's like 7 of them stun touching and casting glare and glance and squint or whatever all they had. It's kind of a risky spot to be in. I kind of liked it just from the perspective of you're right by the earth entrance, you have warp and exit, so if you get one fight, you lock it in, save, and eventually you build up the magic defense to resist those things on your black belt. But the touch effects were the scarier part, I think.
Where was the Gurmaduses? Right in the Hall of Giants?
Yeah, and then behind that was gas dragons, which nobody really fought. I don't know how much HP they had, but I guess maybe not wanting to walk through the Gurmaduses is enough incentive.
Yeah, probably.
And I think Ale is the only one who found the Saria tile, which was in Topher Keylocked. So Ale is the one who stuck on the Sarias, and Fryteeth and Luffy both went for the fighter mage tile.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the Saria tile, that was like maybe a little high on the HP and the attack. They were punching for about 50 a hit and initially took out Ale's black belt once maybe, but eventually he settled in once he got enough levels.
So just looking back at I want to look back and then look forward. Like looking back on this flag set and how completely different it was from week one. How are you guys feeling about this setup from for our fall league and playing completely different flag sets every week? And actually, let's start with Luffy. What are you thinking?
So I'm a big fan of this flag set. Actually, it can be a little stressful because it really comes down to your routing and kind of getting that early cash in order to get your spells and kind of get going. And then obviously finding a ground tile is truly important. But I mean, I like bringing the black belt. It goes without saying, because once that thing hits 32, 42, you're punching your way through everything, and you can just go and not have to worry about opening boxes or finding a weapon. It's just, they are your weapon. So I'm a big fan of it. This was one of my better times, so I'm pretty proud of this run. Usually I'm in like the 50 to 55 minute range. So this was fun tonight. I enjoyed this a lot.
Ale, our winner, what do you think of this flag set and sort of the going from one to the other during the fall league?
I'm okay on this flag. All my practices, they've all been kind of sketchy, and I was just really pleased to see it go correctly tonight. As far as flags overall, I like the fact each week's doing something different. It helps to kind of highlight different runners' abilities, and one runner may specialize or have a lot more luck with doing things like shard hunt, and another runner might have a lot more luck doing something like with these flags here, where it's just go fast and make sure your routing is on point and do everything correctly. So I like that it can show off different runners' abilities, and that's why it's kind of a team environment too. Every person on the team might have like one week they're really good at, and by helping with it or working with their teammates, they can kind of bring themselves up for the other weeks.
Absolutely. And Fried Heath, my teammate, what did you end up thinking about Free Enterprise after all these runs? If you're there, if you're not, go ahead.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I guess the biggest difficulty to me is, sort of that one mistake. There goes 2 or 3 places for you. But I like the setup of this league a lot. That next week now we've got something completely different. So I'm still relatively new. I've only been running this for 4.5 months. So it's thanks especially to you and to Ganon's Gone Wild and Darren Drace. Just a fantastic amount of help that everyone's been giving me. Getting me ready. I started with these flags a week ago and was up in the upper 50s with every time, and managed to bring that down.
Awesome. That's fantastic to hear. And yeah, that's the kind of expectation I think for anyone watching that you should have.
By the time I got to tonight.
Coming into the Final Fantasy Randomizer community, where we've got a new player training program. There's all kinds of ways and people that are willing to help you learn and get up to the level of the people that you see running in tournaments. Let's start wrapping up with thoughts on how the teams are doing in the standings and what people are looking forward to with next week's flag set of the shard hunt that we've got coming up for week 3. Ale?
To be honest, I haven't even looked at next week's flags yet. So I know it's shard hunt, but that's about the extent of what I know. But I like opening boxes.
Who doesn't? And Ale, of course, you did very well for yourself and for your team tonight, getting that first place. Quake and Break was second coming into tonight, and that's a pretty big finish for you, getting those Mario Kart style points. You got 15. So everyone staying competitive, keeping that playoff race as well as the seeding up in the air. Luffy, what do you think about how the Costa del Soldiers are doing, and how you're feeling about next week with the shard hunt?
Well, shard hunt kind of like kind of falls in my wheelhouse because like to Fraki's point, I'm pretty new still. I've only been running for maybe like 3 months, 4 months max. So I still have a problem with opening boxes. So anytime I can open boxes and get rewarded because that's part of the flag set, I think that's a good thing for me. As far as my team, definitely shout out to Bert and Life Reboot and Shadowkins and Dwight, our unsung hero in the chat with us. They've been great, kind of helping me, and we've been bouncing ideas and routing and thoughts for seeds around each other, and they've been fantastic. So I'm looking forward to next week. Shard Hunt's fun. What I do want to say thank you to you guys for broadcasting tonight. Thank you to Danny and Static for tracking, the unsung heroes behind the scenes there. So thank you, everybody. The randomizer is great. I got involved in the Discord, a few months ago, and everybody's been fantastic. So if you like the game and you want to play, come join us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for running as well. My seconds, all those shout outs to the comms tracking, Dengwu on the restream. Of course, couldn't do it without him. Literally, he's powering what you're seeing on screen today. Fryteeth, bouncing that last question to you. Thoughts about where we are in the standing as the cheese fries, and if you think we can change our fortunes maybe a little bit with the Shard Hunt next week.
I don't know why it's cutting out for me a lot. I think you asked me about the Shard Hunt for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some better experience with the co-op tournament a month or two ago. But like I see on the screen here, I opened 23 boxes tonight, and that's a lot for me in this seed. So got to adjust for next week. But
yeah, it's
pretty
much the
with
opposite.
any of the
Right?
randomizers I play. That's what I like with any of.
Your voice is cutting out a bit,
For the random-
Fryteeth, but I think we got your
every
general
week. The
sentiment.
thought process of
Cool. Well, thank you. We are gonna move on. DVS, if you want to help us wrap up here and maybe close out the broadcast. I feel like I've said everything I want to say for this week, and have been happy to watch, happy to broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. Just huge shout out to you, Cheese, for co-commentating with me. It was an awesome night. Thank you to our runners. It was a really great race to just see how each person had to make very subtle and quick changes to their approach. And we saw a fantastic race tonight. Special shout outs to our trackers, Danny and Static Pulse, as well as our restreamer, Dangwu. We do have to say, especially thank you to Randomania for hosting this particular stream. And as we've said a couple times already, if you have been enjoying Final Fantasy Randomizer, if you've been keeping up with some of these videos, FinalFantasyRandomizer.com, you can start rolling your own seeds now, or you can hop into our Discord. And I was petrified to get started in the Discord a few months ago when I started, but as was mentioned earlier, absolutely incredible beginner program called the Duckling Program, and that is really a training ground for people brand new to the randomizer to get their feet wet and to start really training and practicing on their own. And I believe we have our next Duckling Boot Camp coming up at the end of our fall league. So that's an excellent time as a brand new runner to come into Final Fantasy. You go through the Duckling Boot Camp. We usually have a Duckling Derby sometime around there for you to get your experience actually playing the game, racing against new players. Highly, highly recommend it. And I think that's going to be it for us tonight. Again, thank you to everybody. Thank you to our viewers. You guys sticking around and watching this amazing race tonight. And we are going to have more Final Fantasy action for you coming up in the near future. We have a SRL Live, or a Speed Gaming Live qualifier event coming up on Friday. We have our weekly Hardcore Iron Gall on Saturday. And we have more Fall League coming up on Saturday afternoon. and on Sunday. So thank you to everybody. I'm DVS. That's Cheeseinator. And thanks for stopping by.